We interrupt your program to issue a severe warning for an impending emergency making its way to your area. We urge you to be watchmen of the times and to be paired with the essential knowledge and supplies for the wake of the final hour.
Thank you for joining us for the Final Hour podcast. Welcome. We're coming at you from the original Living Word Christian Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's good to be in Minnesota, right?
It is.
Sometimes I wonder, but you know, you're here, right time, right place.
Because you're a transplant. You're not a true Minnesotan.
That's true. I came here at 19. My name is John Gapp.
I'm Lonaiah Farrell.
And I am JD.
And of course, we are missing our fearless leader, Pastor Jim Hammond.
He did want me to explain that he doesn't. This is because it's a replica. Somebody told Pastor Jim at a service that he looked like a young Joe Biden. Because we never
don't see it at all.
Referenced the Biden bobblehead, so we are with that. So that's why the bobblehead's there, and then this is Jim and his 3 fans.
Because if it was actually Jim, it would be him staring at the camera very intently while Linnea and I are joking around.
Probably rolling his eyes internally because he's not a good eye roller. Thinks he is, but he's not.
Yeah. Oh. He's like, I know exactly what I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. But welcome. Hey, this is dropping on Tuesday, November 5th, not 4th.
It's my son's birthday. Happy birthday, Caden. Mm-hmm. He'll be 22.
Awesome. Nice.
Yep.
Congrats. Happy birthday. It's also Election Day.
Yep.
Decision Day for America. So, I mean, we're gonna talk about elections and whatnot coming on here. I'm just gonna start off. I'm not making a shill or a push any other way for any particular party. I just want you to remember that you cannot abdicate your voice. You must make your voice heard. The Bible tells us to continue to be leaders, be influence in society. I had a weird hair like
on your
across
eye.
My eye. Like you ever get it on your
Yes,
eyelash?
it's annoying.
In the middle of a point, but that's all right. So go out and vote.
Make your voice heard.
You cannot abdicate your voice to someone else, and that is what you're doing if you don't participate in this system.
And I was telling John that I was reading a Charlie Kirk tweet, and he was saying, this is not the time to be like, we got it, we're winning, let's have a celebration. He's like, you have to continue to play like you're 5 points down.
Yep.
So that means get out and vote, encourage people to get out and vote.
Right.
Everybody needs to go to the poll. This is where your voice gets heard. I actually was listening to a Vivek I cannot ever pronounce his
Vivek
name.
Ramaswamy.
I love him. Okay, but he was on
great.
he was on CNN, and he was on CNN because of the Tim Henrik guy.
Yeah.
Who was the comedian who spoke at Trump's rally.
Tony. Yeah.
Was his name Tony?
Kill Tony. Yeah.
Okay, I thought his name was
Heinrich.
Tim. See, that shows you how much I know. I didn't watch that part of the rally, but I guess he made a joke or a comment during that, and he said called Puerto Ricans, not Puerto Rico, like an island of garbage.
Right.
And John sent me, you explain this part because I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, basically, if you go down the rabbit hole with this, Puerto Rico has a terrible landfill problem. It's an island, so it's a limited amount of space, but they're getting garbage in from all over the ocean. That there's just garbage floating out there, and for whatever reason, the tide's bringing it in to Puerto Rico, and they don't have a good way to filter that. So there's a lot of different things. We can attach that info.
We should.
Because there are White House and specific U.S. operations that are supposed to be minimizing that.
Yes, you should.
And that money is not going to the right place. So we can send what he was talking about.
But all that to say, the video John sent me, which we'll share with you, but the comedian obviously comedians, when they say a joke, it has a bit of truth in it, right? Well,
always
guess what
does.
the number one trend was on Google the next day?
Right.
Garbage in Puerto Rico or something.
Right.
So they said the algorithms went up and people started researching for themselves about what is taking place in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And now, okay, so I'm watching the Vivek Ramaswamy, whatever his last name is.
Just call him Vivek.
I'll just call him V, okay?
Yeah. Mr. V.
So the CNN person was trying to say, like, why is that okay that this comedian was there making this comment? And he's like, whoa, hold on. Like, first of all, it's comedy. I don't agree with it. Nobody agrees with what he said. Obviously, comedians make jokes, crack jokes. But he said the week before, or maybe that same weekend, you had George Lopez at a Kamala Harris rally who made a statement that, hey, if you guys want to put up the border wall and you have supplies there, you better hurry up and put it up the next day or all the Mexicans are going to steal it.
Right.
So Vivek.
So why is that one's okay?
Yes.
But
and so like he was kind of like arguing with her, and then she says, another thing I want to talk to you about is you guys keep saying go vote early.
Yeah.
So from a state of democracy and how you guys feel that we should just have, you guys say you want like the right says they want paper ballots only.
Yeah.
Why are you now promoting people to go vote early if you think that that's a fraudulent way to win? He's like, first of all, I do believe that we should have one day of which I kind of respected this. He's like,
completely agree.
Voting day should be a national holiday.
Yep.
Everybody should get that day off.
Yep.
It should be the day devoted to your country where you do your diligence and you go to the polls and you vote for your person.
Absolutely.
Everything is counted that day. Do you remember before COVID, you couldn't even do mail-in ballots unless you could like prove you were out of the country.
You had to have a real specific reason.
So we didn't even start doing mail-in ballots until COVID.
Right.
Is that like coincidence? I don't think so. So he was explaining like we are right now using all of the avenues and tools that are available to us that this party has decided to allow, which is early voting, mail-in ballots.
Right.
Of course we're going to encourage our people to do it. Now, if and should we win, we want to change elections back to mail-in ballot day. And I believe he said
in-person ballot.
In person, you go that day, you vote in person, you stand in line, everybody has the whole day off. I mean, obviously there's people who can't stay home and like have the day off. But for a majority of America,
instances,
you can give that federal holiday off and you can give it to them. So I watched that interview, which I don't know if I sent it to you, but it was, did I?
I think you might have.
I might have. It was a really good interview, and it was just trying to like show the double standards of how the left attacks the right and everything they do, but yet they're doing the same thing on their end.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So all that to say, like, yes, let's go vote.
Yep.
And while we do have mail-in ballots and drop boxes, I'm sure you've heard, maybe you've seen, some of them have caught on fire.
Yeah. Interesting that they seem to be mostly in red counties.
They do.
That's interesting.
So, like, you had, hundreds of ballots destroyed in Oregon and Washington ballot box fires, okay?
Yeah.
So, the fire damage, I think in, like, Portland, like, they ended up putting the fire out, and there was, like, 3 ballots, and they found the people, and they sent it back. But in, I guess it was, like, Vancouver, California?
Yeah.
No, Vancouver, Washington.
Yep.
Hundreds of ballots went on fire. So, they're telling people, like, hey, you have to go and check your ballot to see where it is. If it's not in by election day, then you need to go in and vote, right?
Yep.
But like, why are we setting fires in ballot boxes? First of all, I thought it was illegal to like tamper with.
That is illegal.
Because technically, mailboxes are under federal jurisdiction, correct? So technically, it's a federal crime to do that.
That is.
But I don't. I think we talked about this. I feel like we did. Remember how Elon Musk was giving people?
Yeah, we did a little bit.
Putting names into a lottery if you signed up to become a voter in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and it was nonpartisan.
Yeah.
You could sign up as a Republican or a Democrat or independent. Didn't matter. It was basically saying that it was basically a petition or a sign
like get out and vote
that says I support the First Amendment, Second Amendment, and it's nonpartisan. It doesn't matter what letter you have,
what party you stand for, doesn't matter.
Simply anybody in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he's just trying to get the goal.
Get the vote out.
Go vote. Well, this shouldn't surprise us. So The Soros-funded district attorney, Larry Krasner, is now suing Elon, alleging that this America PAC is running an illegal lottery by offering $1 million to random voters who sign his petition to support the First and Second Amendments.
It's going to be tough because they're not putting any money into a person. Anyone can sign up.
Right.
Anyone.
It doesn't matter.
So the lottery thing that he's going to come at is a lottery. Is what this prosecution is going to be is lottery that people pay to be a part of.
Right, but they're not. But he's saying that he's lulling these citizens to give up their personal identifying information to make a political pledge in exchange for a chance to win $1 million.
But it's not a political pledge because it's not related to any particular party. It is a nonpartisan.
But
open.
I do wonder if this is coming from the DA's office, because I was reading this morning that Trump is sounding an alarm on Pennsylvania voter fraud.
Yeah.
He's saying that Pennsylvania, York, and Lancaster counties are claiming that he's claiming that thousands of fraudulent voter registration forms and ballots were submitted.
Correct.
This is over 2,600 suspicious registrations, is what he said. Then you also have tens of thousands of ballots that were made unusable in California. Why? An error affecting, you guys, 77,000 mail-in ballots in Nevada County.
Yeah.
They're saying imperfections in the barcodes render them unreadable by ballot scanners.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if that's just a human error or some sort of systemic error.
But you just gotta watch and pray over these things.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things. So again, this is you guys are going to be watching on Tuesday. You need to be praying over the elections. We're praying over the elections. We've got churchwide prayer tonight, led by Pastor Ken.
I love that
about the elections. So,
lots of things happening.
We're praying about transparency, that truth will win, that the will of the Lord is going to be done. But yeah, just cover it. You got to cover it all. Let any deception be found out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I brought this up before we started the podcast, but the Nevada Supreme Court is ruling that mail-in ballots can be counted up to 3 days after the November 5th election, even if they're not postmarked.
That's by the Nevada Supreme Court.
The Nevada Supreme Court.
Which is interesting. They shouldn't be able to make any changes to the laws regarding voting, because that has to go through the legislature.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy that's what they're...
I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But people on the left are... I was listening to someone who was talking about early voting polls, and Republicans are winning at a higher rate than usual with early voting.
I saw that. They said if the so see?
The trends are going that way. Again, just like Charlie Kirk said, don't get cocky. Don't let that lull you into thinking that you shouldn't go vote. That means let's press. Everybody should press in and make sure that their voice is heard and their vote is counted.
Which I did see, and I have seen on social media, that in some places they were shutting the polls down early because they felt there was too many people in lines for early voting.
Shutting it down at 1:30 in the afternoon.
And it's supposed to be open until I think 6 or 7, right?
Right.
So I don't know, whatever time. But why are you shutting it down? Yeah. You were encouraging, both sides are encouraging people to go vote early. Yeah. So why aren't you allowing it to happen? People are going to vote regardless of when you vote. But okay. So Donald Trump was just on the Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan did ask Kamala Harris to be on the podcast, but she said that he would have to fly to her and they would only allow 1 hour for him to interview her. And he said that's not enough time for people to he's like, I want them to get to know the person, not just it be I'm not here for the politics of it. I want them to give you freedom to express yourself and to become human to your listeners.
Exactly.
So he's like, no, sorry. I feel like it would be best if it was in my studio. Same way we did it for Trump.
Same, the level playing field.
Yeah, let's make it even and fair.
Have that conversation in the same place and have that same time span.
So he did.
But yeah.
Yeah, he asked her, but she said that. But now J.D. Vance has agreed, so J.D. Vance is going to go on the Rogan podcast, which I think will be really interesting to watch.
After he was on Theo Von, I think people are loving J.D. Vance because he's a real guy.
You guys, I don't know if you know his story.
Oh, yeah,
but his story actually is phenomenal. Like, he was raised with a drug addict as a mom, lived with his grandparents.
His mama.
She raised him with his sister. Yeah. His mom was in and out of rehab. His mom now, I believe, is...
Yeah, she's 10 years sober now.
Yes, and, like, supports him. But just his story is phenomenal. Right. And he went to a, Ivy League school, got into one. I was in the military.
Yeah, he went into the military. I think he went to Ohio State for his undergrad, and then he went to Yale. Yep.
But still...
Then,
I
after
love
the
his story.
military, and then became a venture capitalist, and then he's like...
But what I love about it is...
What an amazing American story.
Yeah, is that not the American dream? Like, you can be whatever you dream to be.
Yeah.
I
mean... Doesn't matter where you come from.
No.
The only limitation is your mind and your drive.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the Bible says, have a vision, make it plain, write it down, meditate on it.
Absolutely.
See yourself doing it. Okay, so we had talked about the garbage piece, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys saw last night, but Biden did an interview.
I did not.
What, you didn't?
Mm-mm.
Where he called all the Trump supporters garbage.
I heard about that.
Okay. So
I was painting soffit.
I know. I saw that. I want to read exactly what he said because I don't want to misquote him. And the White House actually tried to retract it and put punctuations and fix what he said. But he said, this is what President Biden said. He said, Donald Trump has no character. He doesn't give a bleep about the Latino community. Just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage, which we explained why.
Yeah.
Okay, earlier.
Which has been kind of a public service announcement.
Right, agreed.
To go, the federal government has been taking Puerto Rico.
And then he said, the only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. So we went from the comedian calling Puerto Rico is a island of floating garbage to now President Joe Biden, the current president of the United States, calling over half the people that he's supposedly over garbage.
Right.
There's nothing about it on the internet this morning except coming from the right.
Unless you're looking at social media.
You guys.
Because none of the mainstreams are carrying it. But it's
the memes.
It's funny because it goes from this last weekend where all of the legacy media, the mainstream media calling and Kamala Harris calling Donald Trump a Nazi, and everybody who supports Trump is a Nazi, which has fallen flat, and no one's buying it. To then Biden going,
you guys are garbage. So now you have memes like this, breaking news. Oscar the Grouch endorses President Trump. Make America great again. And then it's we're not garbage. It is so funny. Retweet if you're garbage. That's Riley Gaines.
Yeah.
So now they can't undo it because now obviously there's a sense of humor and you either embrace a sense of humor or you don't, right?
Right.
And the memes on it are absolutely hilarious. And there's no way
you can tell who's winning by the side that has the sense of humor and who is enjoying themselves is generally the side that is doing well.
I agree. But switching gears, because I think this is a very important topic. We have talked about the border. We have spoken about the rise of illegal crimes, illegal migrants coming into towns, taking over cities, taking over taxpayer money, reallocating taxpayer money, and getting money from the Department of Homeland Security. I'm sure there's other fraudulent. I was reading this morning that Governor Walz approved a Minnesota taxpayer money to go towards these drug programs. But when you Minnesota Alpha News did a great piece on it. I think I have it attached, but I wasn't going to talk about it. But they're actually supplying the drug users with products that allow them to clean their systems out to absorb the drugs, better for them. because Minnesota Alpha News started diving into the 135 organizations that they gave, I don't know, maybe it was like, let's say like $1.7 million, I don't know, to it. And so the Alpha News people went in and were like, hey, that actually like gives them clean syringes and gives them drugs and actually cleans their system out so that they can absorb the drugs better. So why are our taxpayer dollars doing that?
Right.
Okay. So I'm just saying, I don't believe that every taxpayer funded or every donation goes like, they probably just blanket it to like, hey, they do help homeless people and they do help drug addicts. There are great organizations that do that.
Yeah.
But there are also organizations that are shells that do other things with the funds that
exactly
say what they are, like the MVM that we talked about last week.
Yep.
Where they're actually hired to take unaccompanied minor migrant children with a huge paycheck from the United States government to bring these kids to all over the United States, right? Under the shell of this organization. Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, pay attention to what organization you're giving to when you give to one. But all that to say that Donald Trump had made a statement that when he becomes president, he wants compensation fund for victims of illegal alien crimes.
Right.
Which I think is actually
smart.
A major concern. And when he made that statement, because he made it in New York, I guess in New York, I just want to say it right, that like 15% of Americans in New York say that immigration is their top voting issue. They're third highest next to economy and abortion.
Yeah.
So like that's what they're saying. So Trump had said like they'll seize the assets of these criminal gangs and cartels, not just the person, but all the people they're affiliated with.
Yep.
So any victim of an illegal alien crime, their finances will be seized, their assets will be seized. They'll deport them, which they should right away, and they're going to use the assets that they take from these people to compensate the victims' families, which you should do that.
Right, absolutely.
And I was just reading this morning that we just had a United States retired Marine. I think the guy was like 30. He just got murdered by the drug cartels for no reason. And you know who I hadn't heard about it until this morning. The only person who reached out to him was Donald Trump, apologizing and saying, "I'm so sorry that this happened to you. This is what we want to do." Because we have what?
To his family.
Yes, we have the MS-13 gang members.
MS-13.
What's that other one? The Taeguan. It's the one with the T.
Yeah, I can find it.
Okay, you guys, and let's not forget that the National Border Patrol Council endorses Trump. Okay, so he said, "I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or law enforcement officer." Oh, the death penalty. That's what they're doing.
Tren de Aragua.
Yes,
it's a train from Venezuela.
It's like
train.
Though I guess they said it's like way worse than the MS-13 gang.
Yeah, well,
So I thought this was interesting. So remember how Trump he highlighted the Haitian migrants in Springfield,
right?
Saying that they're overrunning these counties. I guess it's like these other places, Pennsylvania and New York, which we haven't heard about, are also being overrun by migrants. So they're taking these like little towns that have like 700 people in them,
right? And
they're bringing like 6,000 plus Haitian migrants to these towns,
or any migrants from anywhere.
Yeah, but this particular group is going in Alabama, so it's Haitian migrants are going to these Alabama towns. So it's the town of Albertville and Enterprise. They said they're seeing an increase in migrant workers coming to this area, and they're calling them migrant workers because when the city council members went to the Department of Homeland Security, who is Mayorkas, they said, "Hey, how come we're a town of like, let's say 1,000? We've noticed that there's now 5,000 Haitian migrants here, and they don't. I don't know how they're getting all these jobs and working. And the United States government's like, don't worry about them. They have work visas. That's what that's what these people say. They said when they went and like did the vetting and tried to look up their work visas, they couldn't find them. So they're getting they're bringing the Haitian migrants into these towns. They're saying that they have. So the government's lying to the people of this town. And now their tax dollars, again, are having to be refunded to support these Haitian migrants. And they're having to take away other areas of, we said what, they cut the police forces, the firemen forces.
Yep.
And they're saying, we just want to make people aware that this is what's happening. When you go to the Department of Homeland Security, they're deflecting. They're not answering the questions. And the governor of this town in Athens is saying, like, this is a federal issue.
Right.
We're asking for these federal officials to start actually having to answer for why they're sending the Haitian migrants into here with these federal work permits. So they're giving them federal work permits so nobody can question them.
Well, I think a lot of these heads of departments, like Mayorkas for Homeland Security and who's the guy for DOJ, Weasley-looking guy.
Oh, I know. I can't think. John something. Sullivan?
Nope.
No, not John Sullivan.
No, the guy that. Anyway, the head of the DOJ
I'm gonna look it
keeps
up
coming to Congress and.
Oh yes.
Anyway. They don't. It doesn't feel like they are answering for anything because whenever they get questioned, they just deflect and say, "I disagree."
Garland,
Merrick Garland. Mm-hmm. But it was interesting as far as like housing goes. JD Vance was on a show, a news interview this last weekend, and he was talking. She was saying, "How do we deal with the housing shortage in America?" And that there's like 25 million Americans that are looking for housing, and we're short like 25 million homes. And JD Vance was like, well, we have many millions of people in America that are inflating the number of houses needed, which if you have 10 to 22 million people added to needing a home to an already stressed home market, that's why you see inflated house prices.
Yeah.
But she was not willing to say that was part of the problem. He's
of course
like,
not.
He's like, I think it's definitely part of the problem. And then she was like, well, what are you going to do if the labor force that these migrants are providing for building homes? And he's like, well, number one, these big corporations are hiring all these migrants pennies on the dollar. And when those could be proper paying American jobs to anybody who is willing to work. I agree. So there's a lot of problems, both economically and just politically that this is causing. And it's also a distraction from maybe some of the things that should be talked about in American culture that just are not, because we're really faced with the sovereignty of American soil being overrun by people that have not gone through the process to properly immigrate. Because we want immigrants in our country.
But I'll also say when you have, what I've watched is from these other countries, like you listen to people in Canada, in Sweden, Finland, they say when the migrants come in and they come in illegally, they bring their culture with them.
They bring their culture.
And
they don't assimilate.
They bring the gods, their witchcraft, they bring all of that, and they bring it to this country. And their voodoo, and obviously we're reversed, and we have the blood of Jesus, and we have authority over all that. Absolutely. But that's what they bring with them.
Yep.
And that's what they're trying to push.
And they try to bring that culture, which clearly was causing chaos and destruction in their own land. Country. Otherwise, why would they be leaving like this?
Right.
So that's it. It's that conversation that a lot of people aren't willing to have of the distinction between legal immigration, where people are coming and having that opportunity to assimilate to American life and culture, instead of coming and overrunning the towns and the culture that's already there, and just transplanting their own culture, which has not led to prosperity in their own lands, which is why they're fleeing.
Exactly. This is one more. No, that was good. That was good. So, obviously, the transgender culture war has been a big talked about item. The left is like pushing, obviously, they're all for transgenderism, manipulating children, changing their sexes. But the one thing I was reading about this week was like Trump actually like learned to embrace this transgender culture war instead of ignoring it. He was like, hey, parents, hey, concerned citizens, hey, grandparents, I've heard you. I watched you during COVID when your kids had to go to online school. You started to realize what the schools were teaching your children because you actually were in the room when their teachers were talking and sharing things on sexuality, transgenderism, BLM ideology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Not teaching them math, science, and history,
which is supposed to be the core of education.
And Trump's like, hey, I hear you. I've seen you. I've watched you at your school boards trying to ban books that shouldn't be allowed in kindergarten classrooms that talk about sexual origin and like how to have sex with anything, racial problems, pornography content, exposing all this. And he's like, I hear you. I have your back. So you know what I'm going to do? If I get elected, I am going to change that. Because he's like, as Republicans, we're like, sure, you're 18. You have all the authority to make a decision for yourself. But they said when you started to come after the children and we started to take notice, we're like, hey, no, we draw a line in the sand there. So they're kind of like Republicans will let things go until it's like on their doorstep and in front of them. And then it's like, yeah, no, we're putting our foot down.
Liberty is the responsibility for yourself, which comes with the ability to make your own choices. But children are out of bounds.
But I love that the right has been so outspoken. You have Riley Gaines speaking at the rally, and she's like, you have the left saying, if you're a woman, don't vote for Trump because he wants to take all of your rights away. No. And then, okay, let me just explain one thing.
Being a woman yourself.
Being a woman myself, but like listening to what Trump says about the abortion rights and the IVF infertility, and he wants to give things back to the state. But like just speaking as a person who struggled with infertility treatment, when you have to pay for IVF out of pocket on top of your medical responsibility payments, that's like $50,000 a time. Trump is trying to, and people are not listening to this because I kind of got into an argument with a family member about this. He's saying, I want to incorporate that into health expenses so that it's covered by your insurance. Because that should be covered by your insurance. Okay?
I like
so
that.
like, and I like that Riley Gaines was like, as a woman, I'm voting for Trump, so I have a voice. Because you're trying to put allow males to play in female sports. You're taking away all the rights of women under the left. But Trump is trying to be like, hey.
Yeah, because what is a woman?
What is a woman?
Yeah. And a man pretending to be a woman is not a woman.
No, it's a mental disease.
That is gender dysphoria.
Dysphoria.
I'd love to inject in here, since you were talking about school board. We're watching a local one here in around the church in Brooklyn Park here. We've got the OIO School Board. There are 3 candidates that I feel are aligned with biblical thoughts. And there are a few that are not, that I don't. So just so you know, my opinion is that there are 3 that could be voted for it. This is my opinion. You can make up your own decision, but maybe research. Dewan Batua happens to be my brother-in-law. Shout out to
the Batuas. That means D? Jess too.
Yeah, that's right. Jess, Estelle.
Yeah. I don't know the other kids.
Preston and Reese. Yeah, Reese and Preston. So Dewan Batua, Erica Foster, and Tim Williams, they are ones that I have interacted with personally, and I believe that they will be on the school board, pushing for things that align with the Bible, and realistically, putting the focus in the educational system off of all of these different ideologies and back onto education. Get
and I love that there's people doing that.
The fundamentals of the educational system should be, like you said, read, write, do math and science.
But can I say one thing? Because this conversation reminded me of a podcast listener last year who. This lady's been a longtime member of a Living Word. I had her kids in the nursery when I was a nursery teacher and the 2-year-olds. And she had homeschooled her kids their whole lives they had been
Yeah.
homeschooled. The kid was a senior last year.
Yeah.
And he was like, I feel like I'm supposed to go to Osseo High School.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm supposed to be a light. I'm strong enough in my faith. I want to do this.
Yeah.
He went into the school.
Yeah.
Do you remember me talking about this? You
Yeah.
know the family.
Yeah.
I don't want to say their names out of respect just because I'm not sure. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to share that publicly.
Yeah. You don't have
And-
to dox them.
No. And this boy goes into school and he starts to pray for people, but like his spiritual authority is in that school,
Right.
making a difference. And like, that's all I'm saying, like with your endorsements of these people
Right.
and who you saying, like they want to stand
Yeah.
as the person in the gap and be the intercessor between the parents and the school
Right.
to advocate and fight for your kids spiritually on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And so like, that is why there's always statements like you vote from the biblical standpoint of
Right.
like truth and biblical views of like what
Right.
God established. And if you go back to the founding fathers, they also
That's exactly.
stood on the Bible
Right. And
and the truths of the Bible.
I could not give a rip about the initial next to their name as
Right.
far as party goes.
Yeah.
As long as they are aligning with the Bible, for me, that is
Yeah.
because you can find Republicans, Democrats, Independents that are just deceptive and untrustworthy, and who are just going to play the political game.
Yeah.
So you can only compare people to the standards of the Bible to really find out what they stand for.
Right. I agree. And we're going to end on a fun note because
All right, good.
this is funny. So I'm sure over the years, you guys remember when you were a little kid and your grandparents would take you to McDonald's and at the end of the meal, you'd get an ice cream cone.
My grandma took me to Burger King and introduced me to the Whopper.
That's good. We went to McDonald's, and then when Culver's came, we went to Culver's. So I am a true Culver's fan because it reminds me of my grandparents. But they would take us school supply shopping, and then we'd go to McDonald's.
Nice.
So like you go to McDonald's and you want an ice cream cone, you just remember the good old days with your grandparents.
Good old days.
But lately, when you've been going to the McDonald's,
Yeah.
drive through to get an ice cream cone, is it broken?
That's the question. You're always going to have to ask that question.
You're always going to have to ask that question. The McFlurry machine's broken. The ice cream machine's broken. It's a nationwide epidemic of
is
McDonald's.
Travesty.
They even have a McFlurry.com app where you can check to see if the McDonald's ice cream machine at that location is open for the day.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
And when Trump was working at McDonald's, I saw a bunch of funny memes that said if he fixes the ice cream machine, he wins the votes of all of
that's right.
America.
That's right.
Right? That's how big the McDonald's ice cream machine is, okay? Well, a broken
Boomers
McFlurry
over
machine
here just catching up to this meme, but it's all right.
It is. It's okay. Is no longer going to be a nuisance for you because the McDonald's franchises have now been able to fix their problem. So the manufacturing company that owns the McFlurry machines, its name is Taylor, they had the copyright and exclusive rights to fix the machines.
To repair.
Yes.
Yep.
Until now. So if you were at McDonald's and your machine broke, you would have to then contact this manufacturing company to come out and fix your ice cream machine. Well,
it was really expensive to get it fixed as well.
It was expensive. I should ask my friend who is one of my trainers at the gym because he's a copyright lawyer. But so the United States Copyright Office granted a copyright exemption last week that gives restaurants the right to repair their machines by bypassing the digital locks that prevented them from fixing it. So you guys now, McDonald's McFlurry machines, McDonald's ice cream machines can now bypass the lock button and fix that machine and serve you your ice cream.
That's right.
So I'm going to go to McDonald's today and get myself, I don't know if they do twist cones anymore, but I'm going to ask.
You haven't seen a twist in a while.
No. I know. Why did you get rid of the twist, McDonald's? Why?
I don't know.
Okay, anyways.
Anyways.
All that to say, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all of our listeners, followers, subscribers.
Absolutely.
We just had a lady write in who just found our podcast because she was looking for Jonathan Kahn stuff. Wrote a really nice email to us. So, thank you to everybody who stumbles across us and watches us and continues to watch us and tune in.
Yeah.
We love you and we appreciate you. And don't forget to vote.
You go vote. Make sure all your friends go vote.
Go to McDonald's ice cream. Go get a McDonald's ice cream after you vote.
The
machine won't be broken.
America. Under God.
Win.
In God we trust.
Yes, we do. We do trust in God. We trust in God.
Scoot on over to the polls.